the kind of main carry as you're getting later into the game. Slater and Pally, they're a new bot lane for the team since MSI did actually come in, replacing the former bot lanes. There have been some changes there. Fnatic as well, if you haven't seen them since they've been international, obviously a lot of changes, a lot of new players coming in. Yep. Or even if you were just watching the LEC playoffs, it was Wunder playing top lane because Oscar, I believe, had broke his hand or at least had a hand injury where Wunder had to swap in. So, both these teams have had kind of that shifting roster.
And remember, it was one series that we saw Oscar in as well. The rest was Wunder. That's what makes it so crazy. The fact that Fnatic's top laner has hardly played in recency. Now on the world stage, it was a big ask yesterday against LNG. He wasn't too bad. He actually played the laning phase really well against Zika.
Really well.
I feel like he's one of the standouts of Fnatic. So hopefully again today we get to showcase him a little bit more, as this is a classic. So far, we got the Rakan Kaiser on the other side, but Humanoid on Azir. I feel like that just goes hand in hand.
It's like, hey, that Azir's looking pretty good when Scout played it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Gonna be grabbing it for himself here. Humanoid, really one of the big stars of this Fnatic team. This guy is such a good laner. We were talking about this live when we were doing the Diaphoria episode. Vedius was really giving so much credit to Humanoid and how good his laning phase is. Really looks at him as one of those guys who can go up with the absolute best players in the world as far as that laning phase is concerned. He's had some really big performances international when he's got there. So Fnatic is going to be counting on him to make something happen because this is not a match you can afford to drop.
Yep.
GAM, let's just be honest about it, is the team that every single team that was 0-1 was hoping to drop. That is considered to be the easiest matchup that is available. Doesn't mean that you can underestimate them, but that is still that preferential matchup. So Fnatic, having gotten that, really needs to make sure that this is perfect, that they close out this game, no mistakes. You do not want to be dropping to GAM because I feel like if you lose that, your confidence is going to be shattered.
And also, you could have another regional rivalry, right? Could verse BDS.
Yeah.
Could verse, again, we talked about it between
Liquid, D+, KT.
Who is it going to be? That's the problem. That's why at this 0-1 stage, you don't have much leverage left. And we'll be talking about it all day because it is so damn important.
And I think that's kind of the beauty of this format, is that day one, I was sweating watching the LCS games. Yep. It feels so important. Day two, you're like, oh my god, if we lose, we're screwed, you know? So it just feels like the importance of the game ramps up so fast. Similarly for GAM, they really want to represent their region well. They've battled through play-ins against a really tough cast of teams. I do feel like Loud has really been getting better and better. PSG obviously was incredibly strong as well. So GAM is able to come through a tough play-in team, and they want to get something done here. They want to show that they are good enough to compete against these upper teams. And I think Fnatic, again, as much as it's always funny, right? Because we always talk about this NA versus EU matches where all the NA teams are cheering when they draw the EU teams and all the EU teams are cheering when they draw the NA teams. I feel like it's probably pretty similar here for GAM. Fnatic is one of the easier matchups that they could have hoped for in this 0-1 bracket as well.
True. Drawing an LPL or an LCK team, you'd be like, well, that's a little bit harder to ask. So right on the nose there, Azale, is just quickly, I want to highlight 3 jungle bans have been taken away here in our second phase. Least in the final one from Fnatic, and against Levi, no surprise.
That's his classic.
Yeah, it really is. We've seen him in the international scene for so many years, and taking away a champion with agency here in the jungle just seems like the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely something that makes a lot of sense here. We are expecting this Cassante to go up towards top lane, but of course it can be flexed towards mid, but it's not something that I recall. I'm going to actually double check, but it's not something that I recall seeing Kati play throughout this year, and he doesn't really have any games on it. So it's almost guaranteed going to be going up towards that top lane unless it's going to be a bit of a pivot. But because he is such a big team fight carry for the team, him being on the Cassante, I don't really think would make that much sense for their style. Yeah. So you do have Sejuani, Cassante up on the top side. Yes, Oscarinin is on this Renekton, which does have a lot of lane power. But anytime it's melee plus Sejuani, you've got to pay so much respect over. And we got to see what is going to be the jungle pick here. Is it going to be the jungle Rel for Razork, which would be signified by grabbing this Renata? There's obviously a lot of dive over on the other side, so I actually love a flex pick like this. Renata, I feel like, has been criminally underrated this whole year, and a meta that has been dominated by dive for a long time. This champion is just a nightmare to deal with. So it is going to be Nautilus. I'm expecting it to be the Rel jungle. Occasionally, we've seen over this year some Nautilus jungle, but it's definitely not very popular. We saw it pop up in a few different regions, but really, you're expecting it to be the Rel.
I don't know how Fnatic, how crazy they're feeling today, but yeah, at the very least, look, Razork on something that can set up his team at the very least, as GAM, they finish out their draft with the Jace going towards mid. I know you talked about the flex potential, but as we're expecting Kiaya in that top side on the Cassante, what are your thoughts?
On the Cassante versus Renekton, I do feel like it's a pretty skill-based matchup. I think that it's Renekton favored, but I do think that you can have opportunities to get that in.
Yep.
And to me, it's more swung by the jungle matchup, right? The fact that you have that Sejuani up there, that should be a winning 2v2 for GAM. You know, if they are going up against Oscar and Razork, they should be winning. So, you have to see how well they're able to coordinate. I'm also interested with this last pick of the Jace. Are we going to have a different style of Kai'Sa build? Like, is it going to be AP Kai'Sa splashed in? Is it going to be something different? Because otherwise, you are basically full physical across the board. And I also do think when you go that lethality into Nashers and you have the upgraded W, at least you have 2 forms of poke. And to me, 2 forms of poke is so far superior to just having the one when you only have like solo Jace or solo Ezreal or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever feel like it's enough to kind of push it over the edge. Whereas when you have that secondary form of poke, it really can make a difference. So I'm interested to see, are we going to get that kind of lethality style into Nashers? It is Hail of Blades, so I'm expecting that we will get that.
Yep.
There's also the outside possibility of going more the full AP. I think that build's pretty dead, so I'm not expecting it, but I do think you always have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind, at least hybrid.
I just wish Pickham's also had, how many hybrid builds are we going to get on one champion? Because all people had to do pick was Kai'Sa, and it would have set us up for success.
Easy dub.
Yeah, the 4th build dead, you say. 3 others still on the table. As we do have a bit of a pause to get us into this game, so we're a little bit delayed running into this one. But our 4th game of the day, I'll tell you one thing. Fnatic versus GAM might not go the way people expected. I'm sure a lot of people out there favourites of the EU 2nd seed, but GAM made it all the way through here. As Al talking before about that's ups and downs in play-ins, but of course making it through after losing to Loud to open up their play-in experience is a really big thing. There we go. Don't worry.
No Ezreal.
We're okay. We're safe.
You're safe for one game. But, just looking back at all the Kai'Sa games the game has actually played, Slater played 3 different games of Kai'Sa and 3 different builds to actually talk about what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It is the Stormrazor Rageblade build that he was going for, then he splashed into AP with Nash's Zonias. Then we had just the standard kind of on-hit lethal tempo Kai'Sa with Kraken Slayer and to Navori, and then his most recent one, was a really good game for him, that final game against Team Wales, where he was going lethality into AP, right? So he did go for that quick lethality, and then splashing into the Nashers as well as going to Zonias. That seems to be the standard build. People don't always need to go in towards that Zonias. Sometimes it is like a death cap angle or whatever, but obviously when you are playing hyper-aggressive, it's so much value to have that Zonias when you're diving in.
I mean, especially when you look at this comp as well. But a side note, coming back to how you're talking about this poke, I mean, we know GAM plays so aggressive in the early game. We know that GAM, one of our faster teams for sure, not just because of the region, but because of GAM themselves. And if poke comps get ahead, if they really rush into games, it's really hard to stop the momentum. Who gave behind the scenes,
baby?
Behind the scenes a sign. What an absolute legend. If they win this, though, I mean, as you said, Fnatic are in a bad spot. It'd be a 2nd EU team at 0-2 that joined BDS, who just got off that loss against Mad. It'd be 50% of your teams down in the, I was going to say lower bracket. I'm not sure what to call it. The 0-2.
The Gulag.
The Gulag. That's it.
Gotta fight your way out. Try to look for the respawn back in the upper bracket.
And it's so hard, as you said. I mean, you then have to start prepping BO3s. And BO3s, you have to play 3 of them as well if you want to make it up. 3 BO3s, that's a lot more prep than what I'd call our group stage, our Swiss stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very, very difficult to play from that type of situation. So both teams desperately wanting to get that win today, trying to avoid the 0-2. We are on pause. We are in game for Game 4 here, Day 2. Worlds 2023. It's the new Swiss stage. I have been loving it so far. It's been an absolute pleasure to captain these games with you.
Oh, man. The pleasure is all mine. Yesterday, starting with Vedius, I get a bit of the flavor of the EU. I had the taste with Chronicler. You had to deal with another Aussie.
Tastes like Britain.
Yeah. And then finishing off with you, sir. I mean, not only a pleasure, but the fact that we started with the LCS versus LCS, I think was just the perfect way to open up day number 2. Now, of course, going into the VCS, their number 1 seed, one of the 2 teams outside of BDS to make it out. With Fnatic going up against them. Again, you already talked about that all-time record. But we know that Fnatic have high expectations. A lot of fans here in the crowd that have come out as well. We know that this team is largely about Razork, how he controls the game, and gives that agency to Humanoid, who is playing with particles. What is happening with Azir? This guy, he's got an LED light show going on at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this skin. Have you?
No.
I feel like I've never seen that skin, but to be fair, no one plays Azir in solo queue.
Okay, well, just a quick reminder, while we are looking at that fun light show, one of those disco balls you buy off Amazon, reminder that you can earn exclusive League of Legends rewards like icons and emotes by logging into your Riot account and watching on lolesports.com. It's easy. Sit there, chill out, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick note. Still don't know what the skin is, but it's whack. It's absolutely wild. And while I was talking, I know level 2 acquired here by Fnatic's bottom lane, and GAM have to back away.
This is completely off topic, but kind of matching the graphic behind the players.
It
if you look at the
is.
player cam, there's all those little floating red balls that look like sparks and stuff.
But Azir's not the world skin, it's Renekton. So,
yeah, someone's going to tweet us and tell us, like, I can't believe you don't know the skin. You even play League of Legends.
you don't know skids.
And it turns out I play way too much League of Legends.
The last time I played Azir was when I got to play one game on the Korean server in 2019, so...
The last time I intentionally played Azir was never.
Intentionally. It just happened.
Hey, ARAM sometimes,
I've been told
I didn't set out.
Elderwood Azir.
Yeah, I guess it must be a chroma. I've definitely seen Elderwood. I guess I just haven't seen these chromas. Some of the chromas look actually very different.
Yeah, they're really cool. I mean, honestly, you can't pick up from the crowd, but ultimately, Humanoid with his skin is playing well in mid lane. Some good trades against Cuddy already. You can see that Jace at half HP. So our star player looking pretty good here is up in the top side. Oscarinin getting a built-up wave against him for now. Doing pretty well in CS, actually.
Absolutely.
Trades against him.
Has the HP advantage here. We'll see. Levi coming through that lane as they are going to get him tagged, but he's just going to help him push it in. I mean, he's showing, so you're not actually looking for any sort of a real gank.
Yep.
I think he wants to help him push. He wants to try to contest this top scuttle. Razork has no smite, neither does Levi. So Levi, I think, is just going to make the assumption that he does have the smite. He's not actually going to look to contest, so Razork will be able to grab it.
Gives priority to Humanoid to continue pushing up in this lane as well and just cross down for double. I mean, Pallet's made this roam. It could get very busy very fast, but Trimby's done the same. Supports today as they are so impactful across the map, but they still don't see him. He's holding out. He then goes for the engage, sets up for Levi. It quickly becomes a 3 versus 2. Make that 4 versus 2. Razork's a bandit, and GAM, just like we said, play the early game.
That side brush ward made all the difference. Not only did they see everyone from Fnatic walk in, they saw Humanoid leave, and it's not after that unleashed TP. He can't TP in and join the fight.
I mean, they're
and
calling it again. Noah, he doesn't burn the flash. Both summon is available, but it's match. Levi's there. One more hit. Noah gets out. Now, summonerless as Fnatic a hit bot as well.
That was really close. It did cost both Slater and Levi his flash, though, so now they would want to be getting more, want to be zoning them off, but they're not going to be able to do it because Razork is heading bot to cover. But it's another rough start here for Razork after what was a tough one for him yesterday. GAM out to that early lead, and it is Kati, who you were saying and you were pointing out, he was losing out on those trades against Humanoid, and now he's given that first blood, which is really, really helpful. And he was also given double buffs, which is going to make your laning phase that much nicer. Do they see the animation? I don't play enough Rel to actually know if you see the animation on someone you stun in the bush. It didn't seem like they reacted at all, so I'm going to give the assumption over that they don't see the animation, that there's not an indicator. But with a lot of champions with skill shots like that, there is some sort of an indicator if you actually hit someone in the bush.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it would have been possible for him to spot. But either way, they do not recognize that he's there, even though they did stun him up. And it means Pallet finds that great engage, and GAM strikes first.
And one in the bot side, too, to get the double summoners. As you said, Slater burnt his, Levi burns his, but now, for the time being, there's one gentleman down bot side in Noah, who is going to be a little bit isolated until he gets that level 6 point. That's coming soon, at the very least, to highlight, but so far, Pallet has been very, very busy on this Rakan.
And Kati has to be careful, because it's level 6 on the Azir. They know that Trimby is around here, so you have to respect that Tarima shuffle. They haven't had eyes on Razork in a long time.
Yeah.
Who's actually still having some really good pace in this game, pretty heavily up in farm. Pallet has been spending so much time roaming that he is level 3. It does, of course, mean that Slater gets more solo XP, so that's going to be feeling pretty nice. But Levi also looking to spend a lot of his time ganking here, and is going to start up this early dragon because they have push on bot side. I think they suspect that Razork is up on top side, though they haven't had it confirmed. I believe I saw some pings up towards that top side. So they definitely seem to have sussed it out.
But look at where the wave is at. Kiaya won't let it crash in. Very smart play with the all-out flash available. Half a HP bar to work with. Razork can't do a thing. Well, GAM use their pressure bot side and just take the first dragon of the game. Early game going exactly how this team functions usually. And GAM continue to play the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game quite well.
Yep, looking good here. Only 7 minutes coming up on into the game. Obviously very even. They did get that first blood, but it is a farm advantages that have made the difference to keep the gold. Even when you're looking at top, jungle, mid, it is that laning edge that Fnatic has been able to build up. So even though they got that first blood plus the assist gold, they've made that up all the way through farming. Kiaya just trying to push this out, but he's just been getting chunked away on by Oscar, and he's not really getting any trades back.
Yeah.
Or if he does, it's like not really equal whatsoever. Oscarinen still hasn't even been based, but Kiaya is the one that's kind of in a tough spot, even though he has the additional 700 gold worth of combat stats.
Great to see it from the player who's been out for quite a while due to the hand injury. And I think more importantly, it wasn't just against Kiaya, it was against Zika yesterday as well. Great laning on this same Renekton in the Jax matchup. So I think Kiaya right now is suffering from the success of this top lane who's come back in form as Razork is trying to get in position to find something. Bot side,
No flash.
You're right, won't find it. The Magnet Storm's in and Fnatic strike true. It's Noah who succeeds and now definitely well and truly on the board.
Yeah, doing a good job. Getting down to the bot lane, committing the flash, committing the ulti. Razork gets that kill. Has really been farming well here, keeping that up. The kill as well, going to Noah is massive. Levi avoiding that scuttle is going to be starting up the Herald on top side, trying to get something back, but it's that missing flash for Slater that really does punish him. That is the cost of them committing to try to actually kill off that Fnatic player in the bot lane on that earlier gank. He committed the flash, so did Levi. They didn't get it, so that is rough. And now, a bit of an oopsie there as they were juggling the aggro, and it does leash back.
I mean, the problem is the fact that it's not down. Fnatic
here
can now
now.
get here. You're exactly right. Levi over the wall, zoned out. Oscarinen is so strong on this
That's
early
rough.
game Renekton. I mean, that is just a massive mistake from GAM.
Yeah, that is really, really rough. I think they would have been able to finish it and get out.
Yep.
And unfortunately now, they lose it on the bot side kill. Fnatic has time to base, go top side, and get that as well. So Razork is way ahead, despite actually getting first blood and giving up that kill. He's still way ahead of the pace as far as experience, as far as gold. He's up almost a full level over Levi, as well as the additional camps, and now that Herald gold to boot that they can still use. So we'll see Kiaya going towards that Iceborne. Both top laners have now based, and we can watch this one more time.
Yep.
You know, they knew that they had Tri-Ward is already pinked. He sweeps out that bot lane brush. There's no wards there. Slater not able to react, not able to get out. It's an easy kill despite the missed hook there from Trimby on the follow-up.
And I was sitting here being like, it was a good early game from GAM. As you highlighted before, CS leads were already making it competitive as Oscarinen might change my mind. He's running into Fog of War at least for the jungle gank, but 1 versus 2 Renekton ain't afraid of that as Razork here to save the day. Welcome back to my team, brother. I don't abandon my top laners, but Kiaya slices and dices, and he ain't even playing the Renekton. The blades are out as Budget Irelia now looks for a flip back. The Natopa strikes aren't out as Razork. The aggro's not drawn in. Levi tanks it, but it's still a kill for GAM.
A great kill on the top side. Levi gets in there, sneaks through those lane brushes. That's why the lane wards in top lane are so important, but it's so difficult. If you don't have help as a top laner, it's impossible to cover all the lanes of approach, right? You can't put a lane ward and a river brush and the tri-brush, all these different spots, but now
Trimby.
Caddy's here though.
But he has to get out of there. You're right. Caddy changes the landscape of the fight, but Slater repositions and takes him out. Noah's trying to turn this into an even trade, but Pallet stays safe. And that's another one for GAM.
And Slater just going aggressive as soon as he has that Umbral Glaive. It's such a cheap item. You spike really, really early with this build. It is Humanoid pushing up mid lane, getting a plate, so there is a cost to it, but Humanoid will be pushed back. They drop the Herald, so they get a lot of plates off mid. 3 in total, I believe, taken in that exchange. I think Humanoid had already had 1 earlier. But it is going to be, you know, heavy AD, and you can see the respect for that paid by Humanoid. He got that Seekers. And here is the play one more time. Oscarinen, you know, was looking for an aggressive play of his own. And this is where it looks like there was a little bit of confusion. I think that Levi wanted to back up, but Kiaya went in, had the nice W buffer, scoops him back, and then is able to go all out and sets it up. So Levi does re-engage. They make the play happen. Here, Trimby trying to get aggressive. Just didn't expect the roam from Kati. I think they thought he was on a base timing, or maybe not the communication that he could have actually been moving down towards bot, because he's clearly missing from mid and had been for some time. but it's a good aggressive move there from Kati, and ends up getting his team another kill as Slater now on the board.
You highlighted it so well. It's the Umbral Glaive, isn't it? See if Slater can use it here in the upcoming play. Our observers' spidey senses are tingling.
Yeah, Rakan is showing mid, and so this means they know he's solo bot. Levi is moving down, and they do spot it now, but the Hex Flash coming over the wall from Trimby is a little bit too late to capitalize on it, unfortunately. And now, Pallet's here, and Levi's here. Trimby is kind of by himself, but I'm not sure if they want to commit to the play.
Guess not. I mean, again, Pallet could have. As top side, we look again. There's the all-out. Oscarinen has the dominance available, but we look towards mid as well. Who's going to get the solo kill? Who's going to get the fight? Instead, it's Fnatic pulling the trigger. What Kiaya solo kills Oscarinen in the top side under his turret. Everyone loves Cassante. Well, it's a trade across the map.
That is massive from Kiaya. He had the earlier Mythic. Oscarinen was still on components. He didn't have that Gorge Drinker completed until he died. So he just goes for the all-in, knows he has the better buy. Levi in the area, but they are clearly too late, so will not be able to continue stacking up those dragons, but now going to look for a fight here. Here they go!
Jump to the back, Pallet misses over, still gets quickness. Noah untouched on the backside, but it's Trimby tanking up as Levi just wants that engage. He's already ultied out as the feathers stop the play from happening further, but Fnatic's bottom lane aren't out of the woods yet.
Hunting too.
They're going to try and stay under this turret. As you said, Kati wants to get down, but Razork's interrupting him as well. So in the meanwhile, Trimby and Noah say, look the other way, we want to get out of there, but Pallet won't let them interrupt it from Trimby. You're right, but Noah, as he flashes away, it's Slater who rolls on in. Fnatic's bottom lane half are dead, but Humanoid's now joined in as Levi's getting tagged out, but there's not enough damage yet, and Slater knows it, running forward with the other. It's not enough. Ignore my last comment, they say, as Fnatic's mid laner still fires away, but Cardi's the Jace, and in the early game, he reigns supreme as Humanoid flashes away, but this is chaos. How are Fnatic winning it? At the end of the day, you close your eyes, you open them again, everybody's dying, and I have no clue what just happened.
It's madness in the bot lane there. Kati flashing forward to try to take out Humanoid, but Humanoid just flashes forward himself, creating that space from them. It's getting really scrappy, but here it is again on that top side. Gets the Q3, knocks him back, W buffer into the all-out, uses the W, and it's just the chase down here with that Iceborne, the constant slows. If you don't dodge those Q3s, you just cannot get away. And then back towards live, I feel like this was way before? This was that way earlier play. That was before the solo kill. Yeah, this is way before everything when they got that initial kill. And then I'm not sure if we're going to go into a world. Now we're going way back ahead into the future as we're time traveling back and forth here. Slater had the ulti, but he wasn't in range, so he actually had to flash to ulti in. Pretty heavily committing there. Humanoid comes down on the roam. I feel like they could have just fought it out from the start. I think they didn't track that Humanoid had no ulti, is what I feel like this was. Because I think that had they just straight up fought from the beginning, it would have gone a lot better for them. They kind of waffled, and then Slater's like, well, I can't get out, so I'm going to fight. Kati here. Watch as he actually flashes forward to finish the Humanoid, and the Humanoid just goes in aggressive to actually create that space. He just slides past him. But then Kati, great job there, finds the angle onto Noah. Razork unable to block that shock blast.
Oh, let's do it again, eh? Look.
Why not?
I know him from the LPL.
Oh, here comes Razork. They're actually getting flanked on the flank.
Not expecting the Callus. You're right. Who's really flanking who? Who's the ambulance going to be
called
Noah.
For? Everyone's here. Fnatic.
As Noah runs on in, he gets ulti. Nice. Levi, beautiful. The Humanoid swoops and boots. Dacta would approve. As Fnatic have already found the opening kill onto Kati. They're now playing front to back with Trimby rolling up, with Noah rolling in, with the shutdown rolling out. GAM are sent packing as Fnatic bring them to the charge.
Fnatic crush that fight. They have the TPs. And GAM was trying to set up for this tower dive, but they just spent way too much time doing it. It was so obvious that they were going to be going for this play that Fnatic had more than enough time to actually come over and preempt the play. Kati is separated from his team. He gets engaged on and burst down, and then even after that, Oscarinen gets to go to bot, and you're seeing the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, but it's kind of lying to at this point because Oscarinen is actually ahead now as well off of the kill plus the TP bot and taking that tower. So Fnatic in a great spot off of that play. GAM had been very competitive up to this moment, but that one is definitely one they want back.
Well, they're going to try and find this pick to at least equalize somewhat, but Levi not going to risk it. Not enough information on the map. And it's funny, like, we're highlighting GAM as this early game team, but once again, Fnatic relying on Razork, Humanoid as well, coming in clutch, and on Azir, it's like the scout theory, right? He's in charge. You don't want him to be on this champion. and Fnatic are going pound for pound with this early game from GAM.
Absolutely, and here it is one more time. Kiaya had Oscar and chunked down, but they were spotted, and they knew they were spotted because they dropped the pick on that blue ward, right? So they knew that they had been spotted. Look at Kati, though. Look how far he goes forward. That was just a really big misstep from Kati. He's walking straight forward into a Nautilus, gets hooked up, CC down, can't move, and with him out, all GAM can do is run, and it doesn't just cost Kati his life, it costs Kiaya his life as well, and it's a shutdown over on the Noah, who out of nowhere now has 4 kills, and is really getting rich. He's going to be closing in on that second item, and sure, Slater has 2, but his are a lot cheaper.
It's again Slater's early game that's now being transitioned over to Noah. I mean, Oscarinen had a good early game too on this Renekton. Might not have the kills behind him, but he's still a threat, and I think I'm bringing this into conversation because the support staff of Fnatic, we did look at the poke coming through, but remember, there's a Bruiser, there's a couple of tanks, mainly Radzork, of course, on this rel. And the fact that Fnatic have a bit of a lead, maybe the front line starts becoming a nuisance here for GAM.
Absolutely.
Who have gone lethality.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to see efficient item purchases. You know, you're going to see tabbies getting bought up. Trimby has tabbies. I already talked about the early Seekers from Humanoid. They're going to be, you know, not just like fully stacking armor, but they're going to have armor, and it's going to make the lethality that much less useful. Is Kiaya in trouble?
Jump in from Radzork. Picture this as the
Oh my God.
North and south react, and opposites attract. Levi's out as the feathers fly down, but it's a follow-up from Radzork. Like a razor, he shaves his way through the enemy jungler as Fnatic are opening up mid lane. And all of a sudden, this early game is swept aside. We move into the mid game, and Fnatic will not tolerate failure against Gigabyte Marines.
Fnatic are just taking over in these team fights. Their setups are better. Their engages are better. They keep picking off GAM members who are not paying enough respect to the amount of CC. It's Nautilus, it's Rel, it's Renekton. Even if you are one of these tanky members, if you are fully stuck in these CC chains, you're just going to die. And Kiaya just kind of walking up, bold as you like, but everyone's there, you can't move. He's going to get burst down before the fight really even starts, and at the same time, Levi almost gets killed instantaneously. They have the flash to follow, and when you die with Herald on the push, you're going to lose so much more than that. They end up losing both their mid lane towers and the fight. So out of nowhere now, Fnatic with a 5K lead. This one was really close about 3-4 minutes ago, and now GAM are getting run over.
And this is the difference between the play-in stage and the Swiss stage, right? The competition gets fiercer. You make a mistake, you're punished for it, and games get rolled over. It's like what we saw yesterday from BDS and JDG. BDS made a mistake, JDG capitalized, and of course they're different opponents, but you look at Fnatic versus GAM, you look at a major region versus a minor one, or intermediate, depending on your perspective. And the difference here right now is really showing in the mid-game at the very least.
It's not about the size, it's about the quality.
That's
of the region,
right.
You know?
That's right.
That's about how you use the region.
That's right.
We're going to see what they're able to get done from here, if they're going to be able to come back or not. But Fnatic definitely on a roll now. And you talk about not being used to these teams that are just going to kind of run you over. I mean, that's something that everyone really has to deal with.
Okay, jumping in. Okay, it's nice, but Humanoid says, no. Look at me and all my friends. Shields are up as maybe topside they can find Oscarinen, but in the 1v2, he's out as well. So the rest of Fnatic are converging in. Slater flashes away a shattering strike that threatens and simply stares back. And Fnatic again getting away with a bit of murder here.
Yeah, they're looking good here. They commit the double ulti onto Humanoid. They don't even get him to flash. He just ultra response, but Oscarinen way too far.
In. Cardi's going to punish him. I feel like he might die, but it is Renekton moments as the auto, the range there. Cardi flashes in and shut down. Meanwhile, the rest of Fnatic are getting split apart. Kiaya with a punishing hold onto Radzork, but he's a tank. And Humanoid almost takes out squishy version of Cassante. This Humanoid is also looking for more trouble, but GAM already out of there.
Good solo kill, though, from Kati. It's the second, if not third time that Oscarinen has been solo killed this game. He got solo killed by Kiaya. Now he gets solo killed by Kati as well. So definitely punishing well. And you can see that GAM, can match up in some of these, individual skirmishes and individual fights. But I think it's the greater team coordination from Fnatic that is making the difference. They play the map better. They set up the map better. They're more coordinated in the fights. And it feels like that is really what's telling. Because GAM was able to stay close throughout the laning phase here. And this is just straight disrespect, honestly, from Oscarinen.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to clear that wave. That is 3 minions. You're walking up at 30% HP. That is a really bad death from him.
Again, Azael, as he dies here, Fletcher's match, and not only a bad death, but a shutdown given over. So moments like that are how GAM get back into this game. And how GAM start taking control back from Fnatic. Things still look good for FNC, but for now, the picks over the wall into Humanoid. But trying to take him down is such a mission. 3 members up there, but the TP from Oscar in and the rest of Fnatic converging in. GAM are going to regret this play. And with Oscar's return to the stage, it's a big old g'day from the top laner of Fnatic. A triple kill over to the Croc. And FNC will not go quietly into that 0-2 night.
Fnatic crush them. GAM looked for a pick there onto Humanoid, but they couldn't chain the CC.
Okay, Slater trying to bring it back. Humanoid flushes. His turret saves his life, and Slater was moments away from a pick, but staying alive and on to the Baron is still all about FNC.
Yeah, Fnatic are going to get it all. You can watch this one more time. They committed so much on Humanoid. Pallet flashes. Levi misses the ulti, though. He needed to wait. Your support is hard engaging there. That's where I talk about coordination. You know, it's not that he can't throw the shield shot. You just have to communicate. You have to coordinate. If he waits till Pallet finds the R knockup, like that is guaranteed. Your R flash knocking him up. And then you throw the Sejuani ult. Humanoid dies before being able to ult. And this is a very, very different fight. But when you make those slight errors, these players are going to crush you for it. Humanoid survives, he disengages, everyone piles in, Oscar gets in the back line, and Fnatic just shreds them.
Well, once again, with a Baron in hand, feel like we're going to start talking up an EU team. 1,300 already in the Red Bull Baron power play. And look, Dragon in 40 seconds too. That'll lead to Soul Point, and you expect Fnatic to have it with how this game's just transitioning.
And we saw the win probability powered by AWS. It was looking very heavily favored towards Fnatic, and I would agree with their assessment on that one, as they are now, you know, a good, well, 6,500 ahead. They have the Dragon advantage. They have the Baron. The power play not really meaning much right now, as Kati has just been able to kind of farm up some of these towers. But now Humanoid responds, and good look for a play.
Looking for it. Oscarinen's over the wall as well. Kati knows he has no way out. Humanoid almost dies, but Kati's burning down on the wrong side.
Over the wall, maybe?
It's all about the range, isn't it, as Oscarinen looks to take a solo kill of his own. This guy has been out for far too long, and he wants people to remember his name. Kati's in the wrong direction. Humanoid makes it out of there, and you know what? I smell meat. Crikey! It's another double!
Yeah, they're taking the base at the same time there. Kati could have just finished his base, but elects to actually go for the kill. And now Humanoid's here, he's TPing in, and I think they can.
It's all in with the Rel, Shattering Strike on top of the Magnus Storm. The feathers are out, Noah is free, firing GAM all of a sudden. We're in a position of losing in under 25 minutes. Kiai and the Cassante won't be unstoppable for long. And Europe raise the flags high. You've beaten the VCS, you're going to move to 1-1. And GAM don't know what hit them. They want to play early game. Ha! You live in the early game with Fnatic as they move to 1-1 here on day 2 of the Swiss stage at Worlds.
Nicely done by Fnatic, getting the job done here. A super important win against GAM for them. They moved to 1-1. So potentially could be running into Mad, potentially could be running into Cloud9 who lost, potentially could be running into NRG. That 1-1 bracket is starting to fill up, so we know there are a lot of teams kind of in the mix there. And honestly, even though GAM was very competitive in the early game, it looked like a pretty back and forth game. Fnatic outclassed them.